Hey, it's Fort Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
Welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
sex.
And I guess today, at some point, I always kind of apologize if we're not going to talk about sex.
But well, yeah, because we should always be talking about sex.
Actually,
and having sex. Let's have sex right now.
We'll talk about getting to that point. So today's subject is allowing her imagination to aid in her seduction.
Yes.
And most of this that's the best way to describe it. It's the most friendly way to describe it. But what prevents a girl from, her imagination is your biggest adversary.
Yeah.
I mean, every player, every Playboy, every Casanova knows this. Or you learn it over time. It's like what she imagines about you is far more powerful than how you are in real life.
It's true.
So you want to use that to your advantage. Unfortunately, and this is where newer guys to game, they tend to smother girls.
Yes.
They want to chew up all of her time. They always want to be around her. They start coming off as needy and high maintenance in a certain sense. You know, girls need space. They may not act like they do, but you got to give it to them anyway. But that's not the case. What the case we're talking about is where the guys are like they're texting, calling. I want to see it. Can we see? Well, you know, the biggest problem with guys is they'll set up the next date for the next day.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving the girl some time to like reflect on what she just experienced.
Yeah.
So you have to give girls time, which means days away from each other, for her imagination to aid in your seduction. She gets to make a fake history about you.
Yeah.
She gets to imagine how you guys might be.
Yeah.
She imagines you're with other women.
And this is all on the front end. I just want to be real clear.
Oh yeah, this is before you.
This isn't 5 years in.
No, this is before you bang her.
Yeah.
And
in the first
months.
Yeah.
3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and she'll start coming in. But if you condition yourself to give girls space.
Yeah.
And if you're seeing other girls, that's why this helps.
It helps.
That's why a soft rotation, a soft harem really helps. It forces you to text her less, see her once a week, and literally give her time to think about it.
Genuinely be not as available.
Exactly.
It goes a long way.
But just know, even if you're not at that point, you can fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You know, you make yourself deliberately unavailable.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need to know where you're at. Or, you know, I was out and about. You know, I was out, what do you say, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah.
But this is the counter to what most girls in the beginning, their spider senses are up.
Yeah.
They're filtering and they're on their guard for guys that are needy.
Yes.
Describe needy men, because it's an epidemic. It
is. And I think, well, first of all, a girl feels it. You feel the needy, you know. It's like, it kind of is, smothering is the best way to put it. But because literally, it's not just because he texts a lot, or it's not just because he wants to be together a lot, or plan one meetup after another, or calls a lot. It's that he does all of these things. And a lot of them do. Like, they're the ones who probably have the needy guys are probably have in their profile something about wanting an LTR. You know, looking for a wife, looking for that special someone. No, you're not. Because that puts a lot of pressure from the front end on a stranger that you don't even know, you know. But I think that the biggest, like, don't you think from a male perspective, do you think that this smothering behavior comes from a place of jealousy? Like, preemptive jealousy. Like, if he's texting her and he's got her attention, she couldn't be talking to someone else.
I do believe that he's afraid, and I always say this phrase, he's afraid that she's going to wander off.
Yeah.
If he's not constantly in front of her.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of it comes from. And of course, you know, different guys, different motivations.
Yeah.
But I think that's a major one. And on a kinder note, guys truly meet a girl that they like being around.
Yeah.
They truly like being around her. So they want to be around her. Because they might have gone like 2 years with nothing but duds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I would balance that. But they do. I think that is a major driver. And like we say, men are the romantics.
Yeah.
So they think she wants that too.
But
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but the real key to this whole conversation is that when you guys give us, on the front end of a relationship, give us a little bit of space, our imaginations go wild, usually in a very positive manner.
Absolutely.
We imagine, like, we can picture you at work, like, we imagine, what your family's like. It gives us a chance to look at your social media. We imagine ourselves in your life in 3 months, in 3 years, in a wedding, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Or just traveling, or whatever
that girl's fantasy is.
Whatever her fantasy is, she can somehow fit you into that. And then, as you get to know each other, you kind of see where the fantasy was a little bit off, but it's okay, because by then you're locked in on it.
Yeah. But I wonder if it also kind of like makes girls nervous when they don't have time to process a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Because then you've got nothing but reality in your face. It's actually, it's counterintuitive to what men think would work, because really we just see the real stuff instead of the fantasy stuff. The real stuff's great, but you have to let us have a little bit of fantasy to kind of lock us in on you better.
That's awesome.
It actually works better this way.
Exactly. With space.
Yeah.
Got to give her time. Got to give her space. You got to stay out of touch.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, when you start looking, once you kind of master this,
yeah,
you look back and you're like, man, I used to talk to these girls too much. And then you realize how little you'll talk to them once you kind of get into these rhythms. You know what I mean?
Talk them out of seduction.
Exactly. You talk them out of fucking you almost.
Yeah.
And once you start, and one thing to be clear, once you start fucking, the momentum changes, but you also need to keep your distance.
Yeah.
And when you are together, that's the best thing. Is like, if you do go on the one time a week date rotation.
Yeah.
When you're together, it's like her being on vacation.
It is.
She gets a sitter for the kids. She gets to forget that she has a shit job.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to think about nothing, and she can just go out, have fun with you, converse, catch up.
What's been going on? You're literally her vacation. Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
And then have sex. What a great evening. Then she's back into the world.
And I would say, I always like to point out, that applies even if your goal is a wife or is a long-term relationship.
Yeah. It gives you the best way to
It's the best way to filter girls, qualifying girls.
Yeah, because if you see her once a week and all she does is bitch about her ex-husband and her kids are retarded, and, just you name it. I know, or she's bitching about her mother or her sister.
It's always something.
Someday she'll want to be in your home doing that.
Yeah,
that's not allowable. So you have to find out what she's like.
Yeah,
over time. It takes time. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things. You hear about these people that got married like after 12 days and all that. That's an adventure. Yeah, that's not much different than like somebody hitting the lottery.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you never hear about that got married after 30 days and they were divorced in 30 days or annulled.
Exactly.
They don't tell you that story.
Yeah.
So, a lot of this takes time.
And women's minds work best when you give her a little bit of time and space to process and to imagine her life with you.
And I'll add this too, for the guys that have been, let's say you have been dating for a while, when you travel the first time, she's going to use that as a filter. So when you guys return, give her a lot of space. let her process.
When you travel together?
When you travel
or
together.
Travel
when you
separate?
travel together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
When you guys travel together for the first time, be it 2 days or 3 days or a week.
Yeah.
When she comes back, she's going to want to process that.
Yeah.
And the more distance you can give her, let her come back to you.
Yeah.
Reduce the texting, reduce the talking, reduce the contact, and then she'll let you know. She might decide to break up. You know, I mean, girls make all kinds of decisions when they travel with you for the first time.
It's
and
true.
if you talk to like guys that are somewhat savvy, or they feel that they're savvy, they'll go, yeah, you should always take a girl on a trip and see how she acts. You know, that's
yeah.
Funny. Do you want to tell your story?
The cruise story?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a good. I thought you were talking about our story from our first travel, which was lovely. Okay, so I had a guy who I had known since childhood. I had actually babysat this kid, this guy. This man. And after my divorce, he said, hey, you know, we kind of talked and we, you know, we're dating-ish, kind of, for long term or long distance. And so he said, hey, let's go on a cruise. I'll pay for everything, you know, I'll take you on a cruise. I'm like, that sounds great. Awesome. But it was like 6 months in advance. And he was not one who was chatty at all. Like, we would talk maybe once a month. It was not a highly invested relationship. But when we talked for about an hour and a half on the phone. You know, it was just right for what everybody needed at the time. So we get on this cruise. Thankfully, it was only a 4-dayer, is all I have to say about that. Because we got on the cruise and I immediately came down with the flu. I mean, genuinely, I was sick as a fucking dog. It was horrible. I was running 104 fever. It sucked. Everything about it was terrible. Neither of us had enough money to have done anything about it. Like, it was terrible. I don't know if he thought I was faking it. I don't know why. But he took this incredibly personally, which I also get, because he's disappointed. I'm disappointed. And about the second or third night, I forget which, because, you know, I was down with the flu.
God.
I know. I'm like, there's nothing worse than having the flu on a cruise ship. On a vacation of any kind, really. But in a bedroom the size of a closet. Well, he gets mad at me, and he's like yelling. And he tells me in the course of this that this was my application process. And I was like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? He was like, well, to decide if I was going to marry you. We had never discussed this.
That's funny.
I was like, no, I definitely am not going to marry you. Especially after seeing how, I mean, it was just, the whole thing was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a bizarre encounter. We spoke one time after that. The unfortunate thing is our mothers are best friends to this day.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little tricky.
That's pretty funny.
But, you know, it was rough.
Give her some space.
Give her some space.
Because girls have some as crazy ideas when they travel. They're vetting you. So, yeah, that's why I was giving you sometimes you just break up. Because people travel together and go,
oh, I don't like you at all.
I can't be in the room.
But our story is a good one. Like, the first time that we traveled together, it was like a 4-day trip. We traveled. We had a lovely time. You had some business up there. I had friends up there, so we had some stuff to do separately and together. You know, that was nice. But when we got back, you know, we just kind of resumed our normal schedule behavior, thought nothing of it. I thought nothing of it. I might have noticed that you were a little less communicative, but we had just
ground running too.
We had been traveling. Like, everybody has stuff to catch up on. Yeah. You had a business to return to. I had business and everything. So, you know.
Yeah.
But then about 3 days after we got home and back into our routine, you one night we were on the phone and you called or you said, I just want to commend you for, you didn't go all, girl weird on me after our trip. And I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah. And it's very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where is this going? What are we now? Like,
there's a lot of that. Yeah.
What has this changed? We travel together now,
Uh-huh. So if she does, if it goes bad, it goes bad.
Yeah.
And if it goes well, sometimes you start getting
where is this going?
Hopefully none of this happens for you. It's just like smooth sailing,
Like you and I. Smooth
something
sailing.
like that.
I love it.
But do give her some space. It allows her imagination to aid you in her seduction and her continued, enjoyment of your time.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone wins. Bye.